Hello everybody, today we're going to be working on subtraction, which is very similar to addition. We're just going to have some differences, some similarities as well. So to start, before we get into our subtraction, we're going to recall what we talked about with addition with our additive inverses. Additive inverses are two numbers whose their sum is 0. In order for their sum to be 0, they would have to be opposites and create a 0 pair. So we're going to recall this by thinking 2 plus the opposite of 2, or 2 plus negative 2. And so to do this, we know we have two positives, or two green chips, and I'm going to add two negatives. So we know that a red and a green together creates a 0 pair. Another positive and negative together create a 0 pair. And here we have 0 positives, 0 negatives. We just have two zeros, which means that these equal 0, which means they are additive inverses. We're going to use this when we take a look at our different subtraction. So first we're going to start with takeaway. Subtraction is another way to say takeaway. So if we look at a problem like 4 minus 2, we could say I have 4 cookies and I have to give 2 to my sister. And so my sister is going to take away 2 cookies. So I have 4 positives here. And my sister is going to come and she's going to take away 2 positives. And if we look, all we're left with is 2 positives. So 4 minus 2 is equal to 2. We can take a look at another problem like this, and we have 3 negatives, and I'm going to take away 2 negatives. So here I have 3 negatives, and now I'm taking away, because I'm subtraction, 2 negatives. So we're going to take these 2 negatives and remove them, and all I'm left with is 1 negative. And so we know negative 3 minus negative 2 is negative 1. We could look at this with a few different numbers, and so it's going to get a little more complicated, but we could have 3 minus negative 2. So I'm going to have 3 positives and I need to take away 2 negatives. But we don't have any red chips here to take away. So what we need to do is think of a way, how can I get negatives here but not really change the problem at all? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some 0 pairs to our problem. And we haven't changed the value. I still only have 3 positives, but I also can put these 0 pairs. Well, we know a 0 pair is just 1 red and 1 green, or 1 positive and 1 negative. And so here I have my 2 0 pairs, and now I can take away 2 negatives. I have this negative here I can take away, and I also have this negative here. And I'm left with 5 positives. So 3 minus negative 2 is 5. We could try this a little different. Let's think it's negative 1 degrees outside, and the temperature goes down by 4 degrees. So I have 1 negative, and I need to take away 4 positives. We don't have positives here, so we're going to use our 0 pairs. So now I need 4 0 pairs. A 0 pair is a negative and a positive. Let's fix this, set it up. So here we're looking, I still only have negative 1 because my 0 pairs are just 0. And what we're going to do is, if we think about it, that's a positive and a negative, a positive and a negative, positive and a negative, and a positive and a negative. And now I need to take away 4 positives. So I'll take away 1, 2, 3, oh, wrong one, 3, and our fourth positive. And now that we've taken away 4 positives, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives left. And so negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. Another way we can talk about subtraction is we could think about it as adding an opposite. Oh, sorry. So what we're going to think about here is I have 3 minus negative 2. And I want to think about this instead of subtraction. Our 3 is going to stay the same. So I'm going to have 3. But instead I'm going to add the opposite of negative 2. The opposite of negative 2 would be positive 2. And so here I have 3 positives and 2 positives, which now I have 5 positives. So 3 plus 2 is equal to 5, but because this is adding an opposite, we actually subtracted 3 minus negative 2, which also would mean it equals 5. We could try this with another problem here, and so if I have negative 1 and I need to take away negative 3, so what we're going to do here is think about it as adding an opposite. So I have negative 1 and I'm going to add the opposite of negative 3. So the opposite of negative 3 is going to be positive 3. So I have 1 negative here, and I'm going to add 3 positives. So let's remember what we did last week with our addition, and we know a positive and a negative creates a 0 pair. And we are left with 2 positives. So negative 1 plus 3 is equal to 2. Well, this is the same thing as saying negative 1 minus negative 3, which we now know is 2.